Hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing good. Please confirm in the chat box if the audio is clear and screen is perfectly visible to all of you, because I don't really have a good enough internet connection at this moment, so that's why I just need to make sure about that. I already have got the notification from YouTube saying that YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, and that's why I just need to make sure that if it's good enough or not. But in any case, obviously this live stream, it's going to be over YouTube, and you guys can just watch it even after the stream as well. So once again, this is going to be a very important live stream, because Bitcoin, it's literally sitting at $66,000 region. It's a very strong resistance area. There has been a continuous talk going around that probably we're going to $73,000 region, or if there is going to be an all-time high anytime soon. I'm not going to get into the details of if we are going to see $80,000, $85,000 region anytime soon or not, but I would simply just try to lay out a plan for you guys, a complete map for you guys, and then I would leave it up to you to decide if we are going to go to 73,000 or 74,000, or if we are going to go back to maybe 58,000, 59,000. But before I just explain all of these things, a quick reminder for all of you. I had a few limits open for my spot positions. So if you just joined in the stream and you have not read my update, I recently just canceled the limits for 2 or 3 of my spot positions. So please make sure to do that, because once again, soon after the stream you would be able to realize what exactly I'm talking about, because once again, in my opinion, we are sitting at a very important point, $66,000 region. It's a very strong, very important region, and this is where we are most probably we're going to have a either a reclaim of this level, which is going to be a very strong reclaim, and we can have a pump up to $72,000 region, or we can have a strong rejection, which is immediately going to send us back to maybe 63,000 and 62,000. And the reason why I mentioned that this stream, it's a very important one, because I'm just going to lay out a complete plan for you guys, is because in this stream you would actually notice that we're going to talk about the future of altcoins as well, because the altcoin market cap, it's also sitting at a very strong resistance area. But in any case, let's just start the discussion, and then if you guys may have any questions, you can simply just drop it in the chat box. Once again, I'm completely aware that probably the internet connection at my end, it's not good enough. I just recently shifted to this apartment and still have not got the internet connection. I'm using just the data connection from my phone, which is not good enough. So yeah, you would have to settle in with this. Probably soon after the live stream ends, you can simply just go and watch it. But yeah, this is all I have as of now. Once again, apologies in advance for this. Okay, so first of all, for those of you who are following me over Twitter, or maybe are on the Discord server, and if you are not doing so, please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me over Twitter. My handle, it's the same everywhere. It's Sherlock Vale. You can follow me over Twitter. You can join the Discord server. All the links you're going to find out in the description of this live stream. Now, if any one of you are following me in Discord or Twitter, you would know that we actually opened a short position, just last night around 65,750. Price dropped down to 65,250. I did not take any TP on my short position. I had to just close it in small profit around 65,700 region, right? The major reason for taking this short position was to equal highs at the 4-hour time frame chart and on the daily time frame chart, right? So if you would look at the 4-hour time frame chart, you would notice that and mind you, we are looking at the Binance spot chart, we are not looking at the Coinbase chart, or we are not looking at the Binance US chart or the Bybit chart. Now the funny thing is that, you can actually see this for yourself. The funny thing is that how exactly, all of these exchanges, they would actually manipulate or try to liquidate people. On the Bybit, Bitcoin's perpetual chart, you would notice that we had a wick all the way up to 67,300, right? So all the people who were going short on Bybit, they actually probably got liquidated if those were high leverage positions, or got knocked out or got stopped out, because on the Binance chart, on the Coinbase chart, we had the last high, just last night we had the high at around $66,600 region. But just on the Bybit perpetual chart, we had a high going up to $67,300 region. So this is a lesson for you guys, that how exactly all of these, the majority of these exchanges, they are basically being manipulated, right? But since whenever I have already mentioned this thing, that whenever you are looking for equal highs or equal lows, make sure that you are looking for them on the Binance spot chart, because obviously Binance has the most amount of trading volume. It's the most tradable exchange, and it has the most amount of trading volume. It has the most, you can say, legitimate price action. So that's why it's a good idea to look at the Binance spot chart, especially if you're looking for precise equal highs and equal lows. Okay, so most of the times you would notice that the Binance chart, it's going to have equal highs, but the similar highs or lows you wouldn't really be able to find out on probably the Bybit chart or the Mexi chart. That's why I always recommend that if you're looking for equal highs or lows, always look at the Binance spot chart, because that's the most authentic chart, right? So on the Binance spot chart, just last night we had two equal highs. You can clearly see this for yourself. Once again, the simple man theory. A lot many of my students, many of people who are trading in Discord, many people who actually know about this, they immediately opened up short positions, and they were simply just DMing me that, hey Sherlock, we just opened up a short position based upon simple man theory. And remember this thing that, the reason why these equal highs become so important is because, most of the times when we have formed top, for example, this was a local top around $66,000 region, and after the formation of this top, we went all the way down to $52,000 region. That was as a result of, this dump was as a result of these two equal highs present on the chart. Similar was the case with these two very popular equal highs sitting around $72,000 region, which are still intact, which have not been taken out. We know about this thing that whenever people see the equal highs, they would usually take the short positions. And once again, for those of you, if you are not able to see the screen, or if the video is lagging a little bit, you can simply just join it. You can simply just disconnect and join in again, right? Okay, so we know that whenever you would take short positions based upon equal highs, obviously you would be placing your stops just above the highs, which means that there are going to be many sell stops placed above, buy stops placed above the highs, right? And that's why this creates a region of liquidity, and at some point in time price would go back up. Most of the times the ICT guys would say that you would see the equal highs on the charts and you would take a long position, opposite to what we actually do, right? But in any case, for me, you would see the equal highs, you would take a short position, you would see the equal lows, you would take a long position, but you need to do it immediately. For example, in this case, you can see that they were equal highs on the 4-hour time frame chart, and those were precise highs. For example, this high, it was at 65,955, I guess, or 995, and this was exactly at $66,000 $66,000 region. And you can clearly see this, that after the formation of these two equal highs, we had a candle downside to $65,200 region. But the important thing to notice here is that these two equal highs, they are not just present. Although the 4-hour time frame chart, you may argue that these equal highs, they have already played out, right? And please stick with me towards the end of the live stream, because just like I mentioned that, guys, because the price action at this moment, it's very interesting in my personal opinion. It's very interesting because we are going into elections. We are literally almost 18 to 19 days away from US elections, which is also the title of this live stream as well. That what exactly is going to happen? Are we going to have $73,000, the previous all-time high? Are we really going to see that this important question will be answered in the live stream? So that's why I recommend you guys simply just watch the whole live stream, right? So I was talking about the equal highs 4-hour time frame chart, and you may argue that on the 4-hour time frame chart, these equal highs, they have already played out, right? But these equal highs, they are not just present on the 4-hour time frame chart, but also on the daily time frame chart, right? So if you would look at the daily time frame chart, you would notice that once again you have two strong equal highs present around here. I would not say that this one was actually a strong one, because you don't really have a huge wick towards the upside. You don't really have a huge upper shadow, but in any case, this still is an equal high. And on the daily time frame chart, it has not played out as of yet. Which means that on the daily time frame chart, you should have got maybe a downside move of 5%, 6%, and that has not happened as of yet. Which means that there is still a probability. And remember this thing, that the invalidation for the equal highs and equal lows, it's usually very tight. For example, in this case, let's suppose if you're shorting at $66,000 region, which is the close of this previous day's candle, you should have shorted somewhere around here. The invalidation, it's going to be only $600, in which in this case your stop loss is going to be placed somewhere around maybe $66,000, $66,600 region, $66,700 region. That's where your stop loss is going to be. That's why I love this strategy, because not only it has a very good risk to reward ratio, but it also has a very good win rate. A lot many times you would notice that. And obviously you have two equal highs sitting around here, you have two equal highs sitting around here, and similar was the case with two equal highs sitting around here as well. And I have somehow noticed this thing, that whenever we form equal highs on the chart, and please, I'm not really saying this is only just the beginning of a discussion, right? I'm not saying that we have already formed the two equal highs. I'm not saying that we have already created the equal highs and we have already created the top, and now probably we're going to go back down to 56,000, 58,000. I'm just trying to initiate the discussion here, that this is what the immediate price action is telling, right? This is what the immediate price action might be telling you, and you need to pay attention to it. Now notice that most of the times when we have created the local highs or the local tops, they were usually always as a result of two very precise equal highs. Because remember this thing, that why exactly price would drop after the formation of equal highs. This is because after the formation of equal highs, it simply just represents that there is a continuous sell-off taking place. At the exact same point, there is a strong resistance present at that exact same point, and that's why the sellers, they are simply just interested in this area. There is a good enough amount of selling pressure coming from that area, precisely from that region, and that's why the buyers, they are not able to break above that spot. And this is exactly why the equal highs, they are being treated as a very strong resistance area, or you would usually take short positions based on that. And if you would ask the ICT guys, they would say that you would see the equal highs and you would take a long trade, because obviously there are going to be stop losses placed above the equal highs, and there is enough liquidity present in this region. Now just imagine that what would have happened if you had seen the equal highs on the chart and you would have taken the short position. That's why I say that these highs, they usually present as a very good target, but in a longer run. So let's suppose that if you were to take a long position somewhere around 57,000, you would have said that, okay, let's target these highs, because most probably price is going to wick above these highs, take out all those stop losses placed above the highs, and then it would simply just drop back down. Similar was the case here. Just imagine that what would have happened if you were to take a long position based on the equal highs, just because ICT says this. So once again you would immediately get liquidated, because you can actually see this thing, that these highs, they were created back in June. We are in October, and you can notice that these two highs, they have still not been taken out. First thing. So this fact remains here, that these two equal highs, they seem to have played out on the 4-hour time frame chart, but they have not played out as of yet on the daily time frame chart, which means that there is still a possibility that we can see a major drop happening. This is first thing. The second thing is that if you would go to my Twitter account, just probably last week or so, I shared this stat that if you would look at Bitcoin's price action for the past 1 year, you would notice that from 31st of December 2023 to almost like 8th of October 2024, there have been out of 40 instances, there have been 33 instances at which the Sunday low, it was swept during the next week, which means that whatever the low was created on Sunday, out of 40 times, at least 33 times the low was always swept immediately in the next week. Now in this case you can notice that, and remember, just last week, I guess, yeah, so just last week when price was trading somewhere around, I guess, 1 second, it was, yeah, so just last week when price was trading somewhere around $63,000 region, and it went all the way up to $65,000 region. A lot many people once again were optimistic that, okay, this time we are going to see an all-time high. This time is the actual time that we are going to see a breakout above the all of these resistance areas. And that was exactly the time, back on Monday, back on Sunday, the previous, it was probably on 5th or 6th of October that is shared the stat that, out of 40 instances, out of 40 Sundays, there have been 33 to 34 instances at which the Sunday low was swept in the very next week, right? In the very next week. And usually it's being swept. We have seen the same discussion happening about the Monday low or the Monday highs, but no one else, no one usually talks about the Sunday highs or Sunday lows, because obviously, there is not much volume present in the market during the weekends, right? But in this case, you can notice that the Sunday low, it's present somewhere around $62,000 region. Now this is a very interesting stat because if you would once again look at the price action for the past 1 year or so, you would notice that out of 40 Sundays, there have been 33 to 34 instances at which the Sunday low was swept in the very next week, probably on Monday, probably on Tuesday, probably on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or just before the next Sunday. So there is still a probability. Obviously, this is not a stat that's based upon any high-end calculations. This is simply just a stat, and there is not enough data to back it up. But in any case, I'm warning you that usually whenever there is a huge move in the market, there is always a retracement happening. And remember this thing, that there are no charts that go straight up, and there are no charts that go straight down. And there are almost 30 plus people watching the live stream. I would really appreciate if all of you are able to simply just press the like button and subscribe the YouTube channel. Please make sure to do that. So we had discussion about the highs, and we just mentioned this very interesting stat about the Sunday highs and lows as well, that there is still a probability that this low, it can actually be swept. Now it was just almost 2 days ago, almost 48 hours ago, when Bitcoin was trading somewhere around $62,300, $62,200 region. And I have said this thing in some of my market updates also during the past 24 to 48 hours, that probably this was the best possible spot to take a long position. Why exactly? Because first of all, if you would look at the 4-hour time frame chart, you would notice that there were actually too many confluences present around $62,300 region. There were actually too many reasons. The only reason why I personally did not take a long position was because it was Sunday, and I thought that maybe market is a little bit manipulated always on weekend, so let's just wait for the Monday open to see what exactly is going to happen. But I just completely forgot about the fact that this was probably the best possible spot to take the long position. Let me explain to you why. And the reason why I'm explaining all of these things is because I want you guys to, just look back at all of these things and try to, try to use the very same amount of confluences in your trading strategy as well, so that you may have an idea. And remember this thing, if you wish to become a good trader, you should be a good storyteller also. You should be able to tell what exactly has happened. You should be able to justify, the historical price action as well. It's not just enough to explain things or what exactly is going to happen in future. It's always necessary to explain things in the historical context as well. So in this case, the reason why I say that this was a very good region to take a long position, first of all, because there was a trend line breakout, right? If you would draw this trend line, you would notice that price was having rejection below the trend line. There was the first rejection, second rejection, third rejection, and usually whenever there are 3 rejections at the trend line, the authenticity of that trend line is simply just confirmed, right? And then there was this 4th rejection, which was a very smaller one. For example, the first one, second one was a bigger one. The third one was not that big. The 4th one, it was a very small rejection. And then we had a huge breakout above the trend line. Now, if you guys have been watching some of my previous live streams, you would know this thing that, I always recommend, any of these trend lines. The first kind of trend line is this one. Whenever you would see this trend line in formation of the charts, never ever try to take a long trade, because all those people who are taking longs on the basis of the trend line bounce, they are going to place their stops just below the lows, which means that, and mind you, if you guys remember some of my previous live streams, I warned you when price was trading somewhere around here about the breakout. We actually took a short position based on that. I warned you when price was trading somewhere around $65,000 region, and I warned you about the trend line breakout. That exactly happened. This one I was not able to spot. To be very honest, I did noticed it, but the breakout had already happened. So in this case, obviously all those people who took their short positions, it was very it was very suitable for them to place stops just above the highs, or maybe placed above these highs, maybe placed above these highs, maybe placed above these highs, which means that there were always going to be a significant amount of buy stops placed above these highs. Price had a breakout towards the upside, majority of the short positions, and this is on record as well. You can go and check this out as well, that the majority of the people who tried to almost, I was looking at the start, probably just during the last 48 hours or so, 300 to 400 million dollars of positions have been wiped out from the market, majority of them being short positions, right? Obviously. So it's very obvious that most of the people, they started closing their position, they got stopped out or they got liquidated as soon as price started breaking above. This was the first confluence which actually hinted that we should have taken a long position. The second one, and remember this thing, at the end of the live stream I would give you a long position as well, which in my opinion is going to be a very good one, which would actually play out. And we are going to have a discussion about the future of altcoins as well, right? So in this situation, the second confluence was basically in the form of price hitting into the resistance area over and over again. Now you can actually see that there have been too many attempts to break above this resistance area. For example, we had like 3 attempts around here. Price was not able to hold above this area, which means that once again it was a failed attempt. Once again you had like 1, 2, 3 attempts around here as well. Then there was this attempt, then there was this attempt. And notice that with every attempt to break above $63,500 resistance area, price was actually not only facing rejection, but the fact remains that all of these rejections, they were getting smaller. So there was always a possibility. Remember this thing that if price is heading into a level over and over again, be it a support area, be it a resistance area, there is a high likelihood that it's about to break below the support area, or there is a high likelihood that it's about to break above the resistance area if the retracements are getting smaller. So similar was the case here. You can actually see that the retracements were getting smaller, and price finally had a huge breakout towards the upside. It's a very natural thing that whenever price is compressed in a tight range, and that's what I usually tell people about, that if we happen to get a breakout above the bullish flag pattern that we are seeing on the Bitcoin chart, on the Bitcoin's daily time frame chart, I would show it to you guys just shortly. If we happen to see a breakout above that channel, whatever you would like to call it, maybe a channel, maybe a bullish flag pattern, it's completely up to you. It's going to be a very impulsive breakout towards the upside. Remember this thing. And it's not like we would have a breakout above 73,000, then we would have a retest back at 69,000, then it would have a move towards 78,000 or 80,000 or 83,000. Remember that if the smart money or if the big money, they have to accumulate positions, or if they are accumulating positions, which is a high probability thing that they are actually accumulating positions, and that's how you are seeing the price moving as well. They're simply just exhausting most of the retail traders. Now, if they are actually doing this, then they are not going to give you a chance to simply just load up your positions back again. They're going to exhaust you. This is actually a fact. So it's not like we would have a breakout above 70,000 and then we would have probably a retest back at 68k, then we would move up towards 78k or 80k, then we would have another retest. No, it's not going to happen like that. Probably the moment the breakout happens, it's going to be a very similar breakout as we saw happening in the case of 38k. So remember that in the case of 38k, we had a huge breakout and it went from 38k straight up to $73,000 region. We hardly had any retracement. The only retracement happened somewhere around 69,000, and the second one was a very small retracement, a very small retracement wave, a very small pullback wave around $50,000, $51,000 region. So remember this thing, have this thing in your mind that if you have to position yourself, you would have to do it very carefully, and the fact remains that most of the times around the very same regions we have seen strong rejections happening. And this is also the topic or the title of the live stream also, that is this going to be a similar instance at which we are going to see a strong rejection, or is this going to be an instance at which we are going to see a complete breakout happening? I would lay out the complete map for you guys, but yeah, we were talking about this long position around here. So we had the trend line breakout, and then we had the price hitting into this resistance area over and over again. And remember that this was a very strong area in terms of a high volume node as well. This was not only a support, the bounce had to happen. And if you would look at the dynamic lines, I would try to summarize the discussion real quick. If you would look at the dynamic lines, you would notice that this was the first retest of 1 day 12 period exponential moving average and 4-hour quarterly VWAP, and both of these dynamic lines, they act as a very strong support area. And remember this thing that whenever any of these, there are hardly any instances at which any of these two dynamic lines, you talk about, and there are only a handful of dynamic lines that I'm usually using, dynamic support and resistance regions that I'm using. And remember this thing that dynamic support and resistance levels, meaning VWAP, exponential moving averages, they act the very same way, they act in a very same manner as any other horizontal support or static support and resistance regions they would actually. It's not like the static support and resistance regions like these ones, they actually have more worth in comparison to the dynamic regions. That's not true. That's the thing that majority of the people actually are confused about, that maybe EMAs or VWAP, they are not really that important, and it's enough to learn about, or it's basically enough to know about just horizontal static support and resistance areas. That's not really true. So we had a bounce, or we had a successful retest of 1 day 12 period exponential moving average and 4-hour quarterly VWAP. I can take you to the USDT dominance chart as well, but I would do that part later on. But on the USDT dominance chart also, the price was having strong rejection of 4-hour quarterly VWAP and 1 day 12 period exponential moving averages. So not only you had strong confluences present to take a Bitcoin long around $62,200 region on the Bitcoin chart, but also on the USDT dominance chart. So in my personal opinion, probably the best possible spot to build a long position was maybe exactly 48 hours ago when price was trading somewhere around $62,800 region. Now, these were all the confluences that were actually pointing out that we should have taken a long position around 62,800. Now, there is a possibility that we can have a retest down to $63,500 region. We would be talking about that part later on. But, first of all, let's talk about the, the market structure for Bitcoin, the external market structure for Bitcoin. So, the external market structure for Bitcoin, the 4-hour external market structure, it completely remains bullish at this point. Even the internal market structure is showing some signs of reversal, and it would be further confirmed as soon as we see a breakout. The moment the breakout happens above $66,500 region, not only we would have a breakout above a strong resistance area, but also this, these two equal highs, they would simply just go invalidated. They would become invalidated, and also we would have few other. For example, on the USDT dominance chart, which is basically sitting at the support area, and that's why Bitcoin is seeing a strong rejection happening around 66,000. That chart would also go invalidated in terms of any bullish movement, and we know that if the bullish scenario goes invalidated on the USDT dominance chart, the Bitcoin chart obviously is going to show some strength, which the reason for this is because both of these charts, they're inversely or negatively correlated with each other. Once again, almost 40 people watching the live stream. Only 20 of you have liked it. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the like button on the live stream. So we were talking about the external market structure, and I must mention this thing here that the external market structure for Bitcoin at this moment, it's absolutely bullish. We had the change of character happening around here, and then we had a break of structure as soon as we had a breakout towards the upside, which is actually a very good thing because we have the change of character and then we have a break of structure as well. Now, what exactly you should be doing at this point. Since price is sitting at the resistance area, many people, they are aping into the long positions. They are thinking that probably they're going to miss out on this whole move. Yes, there is a possibility, but the chances of this happening are extremely small. And you are not going to have a better risk to reward ratio if you are aping into long positions at this point, because remember this thing that not only on the Bitcoin chart, now let's take a look at the downsides as well. First of all, not only on the Bitcoin chart, we are sitting at a very strong resistance area. This is $66,000 region. It's a very strong resistance area. but also on the USDT dominance chart, which is a chart that's inversely or negatively correlated with the Bitcoin chart, you would notice that we are sitting at a very strong support region, which means that, if the USDT dominance chart is sitting on a support, there is a likelihood that it may have a strong rejection around here. Although I still believe that if we get a breakout above $66,000 region, there still is a probability that $67,000 or $67,500 region, it's going to act as a very strong resistance area, and that's my main point of interest. I have not attempted any short position as of now. I did attempt one last night. I opened around 65,750 just based upon the equal highs, but I immediately closed it, although we had a move down to 65,250 because I did not see any lower time frame weakness. Because remember this thing, that the reason why I would not recommend taking a position at this moment is because once again we are in a sandwich situation. Remember this thing, that we have a support area present around here. You can actually see this thing, that price had to bounce from $65,400 region, right? And immediately above you have a resistance area, strong resistance area. Now what exactly are you gonna do? You just have a $600 margin. You just have this, price is obviously not gonna keep on forever bouncing in between these two spots, because this is only a $600 range. So there is a high likelihood that we are going to see a breakout in one direction or the other. It could be a breakout above $66,500, $65,500 region. And I'm telling you that it's going to be a very impulsive breakout. And the fact remains here that whatever you would like to call it, but we have a very small price, has a very small compressed range, which means that the longer we move in between these two spots, in between these two levels, breakout in either direction. And if happens to be a breakout against you, because I know that the majority of the people at this point in time, they are actually wanting to take long positions, but no, it's not like price would immediately drop back down. If it has to drop, it would immediately drop back down. If it has to drop, it's not like, once again, I must repeat this thing, if you would look at all the previous situations where the local tops happen, for example, take this scenario. We had a move towards, $65,500 region. Then we had small consolidation phase happening. And then once again, we had another move, right above it. It was somehow, two equal highs around here. And then we had some consolidation, and then we started seeing the, sell off taking place, right? So, similar is the case around here as well. We had 500, then small consolidation phase, and then we started seeing a move phase, and then we started seeing a move down to around, which happened down to 58,000. In all of the previous cases where we formed a local top, except for the few cases, you would notice that it was not like immediately we had a move down to, or like immediately we had a break towards the downside. Whenever we look at the local tops, it's not like the reaction happens immediately. It's usually a slow reaction. It's usually like the price would consolidate in the very same region for quite some time, and after that, probably after 24 to 48 hours, we would see a move happening downside. So that's why, please do not feel that fear of missing out, thinking that maybe price is moving in the very same region for quite some time, and that's why we're going to see a breakout happening. There still is a great likelihood that, after moving in this range for quite some time, probably in the next 24 to 48 hours, we can have a move towards the downside. And, in my personal opinion, for those of you who are aping into long position, because once again, not only we are sitting at a strong resistance area on the Bitcoin chart, it has already gone up maybe 5%, around 5%, 6% just during the last 24 to 48 hours, which is a big enough move, right? How often do you see daily candle, right? It's not actually a thing that made. So that's why I recommend, instead of going long at around the current market prices, it's going to be a much better idea to simply just wait a little bit, place the limits, and wait for price to return back to those limits. Where exactly are you going to play trust is going to be somewhere around 6,200 or 64,150. That's actually the first point of interest, right? once again, I'm completely aware that the internet connection, since internet connection, it's just not super good. It's not perfect at this moment, so that's why the stream, it may be lagging a little bit, but obviously it's going to be uploaded over YouTube, so you guys can just watch it later on. But yeah, I still have issues with my internet connection from my mobile phone. I don't have a broadband at this point. I just recently shifted to this apartment, so that's why the stream is going to be like this for like next 1 week or so. So the most probable spot where you can actually place the long position is actually this one, because 4 or 5 different attempts to break above this resistance area, and none of these attempts were successful, and then we had a huge breakout towards the upside, which means that this was a very strong resistance area. And now, since this resistance area, it has simply flipped into a support region, which means that it's going to act